Thank you for joining in today. Today we're going to talk about a little specific matter that has been the buzz this past couple of days. The Nintendo Switch. Oh, what a reveal! At least I can say that in my first reactions video, because I saw well some games that I really like revealed there. I was hyped, and it looked like I was all happy and dandy about the presentation. Of course, I was always mentioning about those games that we didn't see for a launch, but I'm going to speak about that information later. For now, of course, we're going to check the good things and the bad things that we got from that presentation, and of course, we're going to find out if this console is going to possibly end up triumphing the Wii U, or if not, based on that presentation, of course. The console already seems to be better than the Wii U as a concept, but of course, there's other many things that we don't know about it. So okay, first off, the first thing that we know is the release date. That release date, it's actually a great one. I didn't expect to see that to be at the almost right at the beginning of March the 3rd, which is a great day. Of course, taking into account always that Nintendo, when they say that they're going to release a game on a month, they always focus on the end of the month, and that, of course, is not great to know. Why not actually make it the next month, the first day of the month, if you're going to go ahead and release a game at the end of the month? So yeah, it's actually a great start. They started quite strong with that aspect, revealing that the release date is going to be actually right at the beginning of March, which is actually not that far away. 1 month and a half, in 2 weeks ago, and we're going to. It's 1 month and 2 weeks from us. Actually, and of course that is not far at all. Right now, time's flying, so 1 month and a half is basically no time to consider. So the console should be out pretty soon. Then we got, of course, the price. The price is a sweet spot. Many people were expecting it to be $250, but in my opinion, that would have been too good to be real. It would have been great to have that price, but the $300 price, I can safely assume it's not a bad price. It's a sweet spot, spot on, and I can see the console selling a good number of units at that price, if everything goes well, of course. And of course, we need that important bit of information that is going to be also revealed in the bad things section. So next comes up the hardware. The hardware reveal, the way that they showed off the controller with those two games, well, seems to be a solid technology, but that technology and everything that they showed screams, as everyone mentioned already, of course, but in my opinion, it screams Wii again. That controller, it's basically a version of the Wii controller taken to the next level. It's like a reimagine of the Wii controller into a new level. And of course, it seemed to be a pretty nice controller. All things aside, of course, the only bad thing that I consider about it is the size. That small thing that it's added to the controller after that small grip that you get to attach it to your hand, it's not that bad actually. It's a nice thing to add to the controller, and it seems to add a bit more of volume to it, so that makes it a bit more comfortable to handle. So yeah, that's actually not that bad. but in the end, it's still a pretty small controller, so not very comfortable to handle in your hands. Um, that's what it comes to that. The console itself seems to be nice. It's 6.2-inch tablet, 720 pixels of image quality, and of course, seems to be nice. The seems to be built nice, at least from what I can see. I haven't touched one, haven't handled one with my own hands, but we shall know when that console comes out, of course, or if we get the chance to test drive that console sometime in the future. And those are basically the good things about that presentation. Those things were presented in a good way, but of course, after that we come with the bad things about the presentation. And of course, we start off with the fact that we didn't get anything on backwards compatibility with accessories, not the games. Of course, we already knew that. The in this case, of course, the Wii games and the 3DS games were not going to be compatible with it because it didn't have no space to handle a cartridge from the 3DS, and of course it doesn't have a disc tray, so it doesn't read any discs. Everything is flash memory inside of the unit, so that's basically the reason why we didn't get that. But what I'm actually talking about here is that it didn't have backwards compatibility with the accessories, controllers in this case, of course. Now that we can see that this console seems to be a very close reimagination of the Wii console, it actually has some DNA from the Wii U too, and basically it has from every console that has existed before. It has something coming from them. It's like a mixture of every console of Nintendo that has come down, has come out, of course, before. So it seems very weird that Nintendo didn't showcase any backwards compatibility with the Wii U Pro controller or the Wiimotes, taking into account that the controllers that they are selling with that console could pretty well work as of course a Wii with the nunchuck, and of course a Wii U Pro controller, or even of course a Wii Classic controller. But of course that may come in the future with a patch, an update on that console, so that could be fixed. And that's of course something that I'm hoping for, taking into account that the pricing for those controllers is not that cheap. I mean, those Joy-Con controllers as a separate device, they cost around $40. So if you want to get a couple to get, of course, another kind of Pro controller, you're going to pay around $80 for them, which is not cheap at all. It's actually kind of expensive. Of course, for single player games, if you're going to have an experience with other people, that may work around that situation, but I don't think that many people is going to try to use that console as a multiplayer system, especially taking into account that the size of those controllers is not very good at all. So yeah, that's actually something that bothers me. But of course, it may not apply to all people. Maybe you're not expecting that, so that should be okay. We come after that with the next bad point, and that's basically that we saw no third-party support on that presentation. We have some glimpses there. No More Heroes 3 was hinted, of course, by Suda51 developer. We had, of course, the Atlas title. We had FIFA. I don't really care for EA games, to be honest, but I know it's needed. But we pretty much got FIFA, and not even a full trailer on that presentation. It was just a basic logo show off of the company, and of course some little words that were of course integrated with that presentation. But overall, not really that much. No third-party support was really present there. Sega was there too, but it was almost hilarious because, well, they didn't show off any game after all. And Sonic Mania, well, that is coming out. I mean, it's nice. It seems to be a good title to have, but that seems to be more like a side title, almost like an indie game. But of course, if they say they're working on other titles, we shall see them in the future. But overall, in this presentation, they didn't show many third-party games. We had also Bethesda showing and actually confirming that Skyrim is coming out for the system. And well, I don't really care for that game actually because it's a pretty old game already, and it has been ported to many systems, including computer. So, well, it could be a great game to play if this is your first time trying out Skyrim. Sorry, the Elder Scrolls series. But, well, that's only if that's the case. If you did already play that game before on your computer or your Xbox or PlayStation consoles, well, I don't see no need to buy that edition of the game. And of course, that's pretty much actually it when it comes to the third-party support. That's actually the reason why I told you there was no actually that much. And the little support that we saw was not really that interesting or important. Sorry. By that, what I mean is that it's a third-party support that, well, we have already on the other consoles. There were no actually like something that you could say was exclusive to it. I mean that No More Heroes 3 game that was hinted could be exclusive, but when you see all of those games, most of them, or if not all of them, don't seem to be at all exclusives to that console. They seem to be just titles that are going to be added. They may, of course, be bought by some people, but I don't think that those games are necessarily games that are going to be attracting other people that are playing PlayStation or Xbox systems. They may come, but I don't know. It's a very slim to none chance that they could be attracted to the system. And that slim chance, of course, that could be helpful is the fact that the Switch is a console that you can play on the go. So I don't know. Many people may want to play on the go their Elder Scrolls game, or of course the FIFA, and that way, of course, that's how it could work out. But I don't see it being as a very solid entry of information that we may take to make it a more attractive console for other people, besides, of course, Nintendo fans. After that, of course, we go with information about the online and the operative system. There was actually not that much. All that we know, of course, and something that I actually forgot to mention on the good points, is that the console is not going to have a region lock inside that. But that's pretty much the good news that we got from the online information. Besides, of course, some other basic things that the competition is already doing, which is capturing video, and of course capturing your snapshots from your games to share them on the social media. But we didn't see how the online is going to work. We didn't see how the menus for invites is going to work, how the voice chat is going to be integrated, or of course we didn't see also any information on the friend invite system and how you're going to add your friends, if your friend list has a cap, or of course any other information that may be suggesting how the system is going to handle online, including of course achievements. An achievement system was not shown. And now that Nintendo is going to start charging for the online in the near future, after the console comes out in the fall during this year, I don't know. It's it needs to be integrated, because if they don't integrate anything of that onto the system, it's not really going to be worth it to pay online. I'm actually against playing online, to be honest, because I don't find it fair to be paying for an online service when you're already paying for your internet. But well, if they're going to make a good system, and the online services structure that will worth it in the end, something on the, aside the among the levels of Xbox or Microsoft consoles online, then I will say that it's worth the buy to have that subscription. But if it is not, well, that won't be very good at all. If they make it cheaper than Xbox, than Microsoft and Sony, that may be also a good thing. Let's make it. Let's see that they make it half the price, or let's see if maybe they can integrate that, and then, well, retire that statement and don't charge for the online. That could be also another option. I don't see it happening, but if it happens, that would be great. And of course, the operative system. We didn't see how really the menu looks. We didn't see any menu capabilities. Like, we didn't see if it can handle music and videos. It seems like it should, because it works as a tablet outside, so I think that it should be able to do those. But the fact that we didn't see those in the presentation is what bothers me. We didn't see no information on that, and we should have seen at least what it can do, what it can handle when it comes to media. After all, we know for a fact that it doesn't have any disc tray, so we know that we're not going to be able to play any CDs, any DVDs, or any Blu-ray discs. So that's not great at all, the fact that they didn't show any information on that matter. And of course, we come to the most important thing about the presentation, that was not handled at all the right way. And basically, I could say no launch games. And what I mean by that is that there were not really a solid amount of games presented to us. There was no battery, and of course, there was no good number of games. We saw some titles, but most of them are for the future. As I mentioned in that reaction video, that presentation seemed good for the future. And actually, that's a bit of a niche statement, because it's actually for me, or of course any other person that may find the RPG games to be their main way of entertaining themselves. So the RPG games that were shown right there are really appealing to me. I find myself enjoying those franchise titles, but we didn't see no launch games with battery, as I mentioned before. They didn't come out with, as I mentioned before, no good third-party support. And that launch lineup, it's very lacking. That could be solved in the future. And of course, if they handle the other thing that I mentioned before, that I was going to integrate with the bad things, is that if they don't show off a good advertisement of this console on internet, on the TV, pretty much in every form of media, on concerts, on places where a huge amount of people is going to be present, like a Super Bowl, or of course a huge soccer game final. That's where they need to show off the Switch, and of course show a good trailer, something that shows all population, all people, something that they could be interested with. A hardcore game, a casual game, if they can add that, if they wish to add that. Of course, a game for the children. Everything. Make the console seem appealing for everyone. And of course, advertise it to no end. During 2017, if they make a marketing campaign during this year, if it's not, of course, it doesn't seem like they're going to make it huge progress from now to to launch to March the 3rd. But if they can make all the way through 2017 to the holidays, a huge marketing campaign on TV, on sports shows, on pretty much every place that is going to be crowded with people, that's the only way that I can see it succeeding. Because with this presentation, I don't see the general people getting hype about this console. Of course, they may be a bit interested because of what they saw with the convenience of being able to grab it and of course play it on the go and then play it in your home, and seems to be a seamless procedure to do. But if they don't see the media and the games and of course the good online there, they may not care for it. And of course they need to attract the hardcore gamers, because as right now we have the market flooded with cell phones and tablets. Nobody actually may care for the casual side of this console, and that's what I saw mostly from this presentation. Some pretty hardcore things, but just for basically the RPG lovers, which fortunately I'm one of them. I love the RPG games, so I found myself very happy about them. And of course that Mario game, and of course the fact that Zelda is going to be there at launch, those are great things to have an account. And Mario, we hope to have it on this holiday. It would have been great if not of course necessary to have Mario Odyssey as a launch title, and I could see that console selling at least double of what it's going to sell right now if that game would have been there at launch. But it didn't happen, so we should see. And that's the reason why actually telling you of course that they should market all of this year that console, because of all the way to the release of Mario Odyssey, they can make a solid entry to this market and sell at the very least 15 million Switches by the end of this year. This console could succeed. It needs to outsell the Wii U before this year ends, because with the other competition that they have at Microsoft and Sony, I don't see them succeeding if the Switch is left behind those numbers during this year. And of course, that third-party support that is needed is not going to come to them if they don't sell the Switch. So Nintendo and third-party support need to focus themselves on the console, and don't stop giving it support throughout 2017 to show that this console is going to be receiving good games. That was the issue with the Wii U, and if they repeat the same mistake with no good advertising and no games, this console is going to definitely flood again, just like the Wii U did, if not in a worse way. Of course, we saw some glimpses of good games on that presentation, but as I mentioned before, only for people who are interested in RPGs. We didn't see those first-person shooters. We didn't see those niche titles like not actually niche titles, but the third-party support titles which are exclusive to the console. Those titles that may, of course, surprise us. Like a little example could be that game Recore that came out on the Xbox One. But just as an example, it doesn't mean that Nintendo needs a game like that one exactly. But they need to show off a new game that nobody was expecting to come out, present it, and of course, follow up with first-party games too. The first-party games are going to be mostly the responsibles for this main campaign, but they need to make those first-party games as ambitious as Zelda and Mario. They need to present them in that same way and advertise them and show the people what the Switch can do. Overall, that presentation was very lacking. For me, I was hyped during that reaction because I like those games. But once you get really to sit down and think about it, that's when you find out that the presentation was actually not that good at all. So that's basically the main issue with that presentation. It was not like per se a huge failure in my opinion, but it was truly lacking of information. As I mentioned before, the basically the no backwards compatibility. We didn't see anything of that. We didn't see no third-party support there, not at all. But of course, in a way that we saw third-party support in a very slim level that was not even hyping up the console, just as we saw with no good launch games. As a number, of course, we have Zelda there, but if you see that game, that's basically the only game that matters for that console, and it really pains when you see a console with only one good launch game, and of course, as the very other slim number of games aside it, there should have been at least 15 titles around that launch, if not, of course, 10, but we didn't see not even good 5 titles. And of course, we didn't see any information about the online and the operative system. Those two were basically left behind. And not to mention, of course, the specs of the system were not talked about. They didn't tell us about what processor, of course, or how many RAM memory was inside. Or of course, I don't remember even telling us how much memory was going to be inside of the system, or if it was going to have expandable memory or anything of the like. And that was basically it. The Switch was unexpected, but expected. Unexpected because coming from the Wii U issues, we expected to have something great, but knowing that it's Nintendo, the one that is handling that console, it was kind of expected that we were going to get these results. So, thank you very much for joining me here. Now, let's see how this goes. That console, just because of that Zelda title, to be honest, I'm hyped for it, and I may more than likely get it just for that game at launch. But to be honest, I don't see it coming as strong as it should have been, and that is what makes this presentation a real issue with the console. First entry to the people that doesn't know about it, because when they're going to see this presentation, many things are going to be missing that may have been key opportunities to make the console shine. So we shall see how this goes, and possibly in the near future, Nintendo may show a good advertisement set, and we shall see. Depending on how 2017 ends, we shall know if this is going to end as well as we may expect it. So, once again, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you on the next opportunity that I make about a theme. And God bless, and thank you once again. Goodbye.